Hello and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the hearts. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest today is someone I've been dying to talk to for a while now. Mom, blogger, runner. Ah, you do so many things. Ashley MacInnis, thanks for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
And how are you doing?
I'm good. It's a gorgeous
Yeah.
day. I was actually just out running.
See what I'm saying?
I took a quick, I know, right? I took a quick lunch break, just 30 minutes to enjoy the sunshine and sort of hit the reset button. It was
Yeah,
great.
okay, fine. Might as well start from there then. How did you get into running?
Well, um, I think if I think back, I ran a lot when I was younger. So through high school, I was a competitive basketball player. So running, was certainly really important. And then I just stopped after high school. And it wasn't until I'd had my little boy and I was a broke single mom and I couldn't afford a gym membership, but I had a pair of half decent running shoes. So I started running. Actually, I would park my car halfway between work or school and where my son went to daycare, and I'd go for a quick run, and then I'd go and pick him up. Uh, Before this, I think it was like I had to be there by 6 p.m. I was showing up at like 5:58 every time, and that was the beginning. So I started really, short runs and really slow, and at first I really didn't like it. And then I just found that I really looked forward to that alone time that I had every day. It was time I carved out for
Mm.
myself. And I eventually started bringing my little guy with me, which made for a very slow run when he was, 3 or 4 years old. And he chooses not to run with me now, which is fine. I still really enjoy the alone time. So I've done a couple of half marathon distances. And I like to run in a race, but I mostly just like to run for myself when I feel like it more than
Mm.
anything.
So back then, like, was he in the thing, whatever, the baby thing that you push when,
Oh, a
yeah, stroller,
stroller.
is that
No.
what you were using back then with him?
I ran once with him in the stroller, short, like when he was really
Hmm.
small, but it's really hard to push a stroller. And I'm not that cool. I can't pull it off. I see women running with like double strollers and like that woman could take over the world.
Oh man.
It's
Yeah, I
amazing.
remember years ago, living in a place was kind of a hill, and every day when I was driving to work, this couple would be running, the two of them, each of them with a stroller, and then they are running up the hill. I'm like, okay, good for you.
Cool.
um,
I hate
yeah,
hills.
oh my god.
I avoid them at all
Yeah,
costs.
yeah, I can't stand hills. Not even walking off hills, even driving off hills. So, you say you're a broke single mom. Like, what steps did you take to turn your life around?
Well, I couldn't have done it without the support system that I had. So I try very hard to make note of the privilege that I had as a single mom. I got pregnant when I was 21. I hadn't graduated from university yet. I was working a couple of part-time jobs and trying to make, like 15 hours here and 15 hours there and 10 hours here work. So getting pregnant wasn't part of the plan. Go
Hmm.
figure. And my family really just looked at me and said, whatever decision you make, we support you. We'll do whatever we can. So I had my son just after I turned 22. So he's 11 now. I'm 33 now. And I married his dad, which was a bad idea. We were not well suited to one another. We wanted very different things. So when my son was 2, I left my marriage, which was really, really hard at the time, and it worked out well. We are both in very happy relationships separately now. But I kind of had this moment, I still remember it quite vividly, where I was working seasonally in Cape Breton at a pretty well-known restaurant there as a dining room manager. And I was literally counting wine bottles in the basement. And I thought, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I always had a passion for storytelling. I loved working with nonprofits. So I found a PR program through Eastern College. They no longer offer the PR program, but at the time they did. It looked like it would work with my schedule. It was 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday, with no breaks
What?
for 14 months.
Wait. How do you
We
do
had
4 hours straight? Like,
so it was, we had one classroom, so we'd be there from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. And we just cycled through all of the PR
there's gonna be a break at
programs.
some point, like, right?
Well, I mean, we had like bathroom breaks, and we could go grab water and
Okay.
things. But when I say no breaks, we
Like
didn't
30
have
minutes
a
or
summer
1 hour.
vacation.
Breaks. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, gotcha.
like a longer
Oh my
break.
God.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
No, we were chained to our
I'm
desks.
like, what? I can't sit still for, I don't know, maybe more than
I
20 minutes.
oh,
I fucking hate
same.
meetings.
Oh, I do too. I spend a lot of time. Um, I have I have like a ball chair, and
Oh,
I'm I'm like worse than a toddler. I can't sit
yeah,
still. I'm like twiddling with stuff
yep.
constantly. I have like fidget spinners at my desk. But yeah, so we went straight through. I started in November, and I was like, we didn't have a summer break. We had a week off at Christmas. But they really just treated it like like the real world, where, unlike in like grade school and then university, you get 2 or 3 months consecutively
Hmm.
off. And so the purpose at Eastern College was to prepare you for
Well,
real work life. So I found the program. I applied for every grant and student loan I could find. Um, got really lucky and got a few grants and got the student loans. And then I basically said to my parents, "This is what I'm hoping to do. How can you sort of like, how can we make this work?" And my mom and dad are fucking rock stars, and they travel back and forth between Halifax and Cape Breton with my little boy every weekend until I got him into a daycare
wow.
in Halifax, which didn't take too long. It took about 2 months, which felt like an
Yeah.
eternity being away from him. It was super hard. And then I really just busted my ass,
When they
for
bring
lack of a
your
better
son, when
word.
they brought your son to Halifax, they spend the weekend here, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'd sometimes spend the whole week. So my parents are fishermen, fisher people, and they wouldn't be fishing from the end of the summer until like late spring the following year. So during the fall and
Mm,
winter, my mom usually would come and spend a week with me. So she might come up on a
mm,
Friday with my dad, and then my dad would drive home Sunday, and my mom would stay at my little apartment in Halifax with
mm,
me. And then we'd drive home together the following weekend. So they were really in it
mm-hmm.
with me from the beginning, and I'm so grateful for all that they did. And then, I mean, really, I networked a lot. I tried to meet as many people as I
Mm,
could. I did a lot of freelancing, which was really fun. Just blogging. It's how my blog got started. It was like my diary when I was just losing my shit home by myself and bored, to just sort of pour all of my thoughts
mm-hmm.
out. Um, and yeah, I mean, mostly it was other, like, I owe a lot of my success to other people believing in me and helping me through the way. So now I feel really fortunate to be where I am in my career to be able to sort of reach back and see who I can help. Um, a couple of friends who've recently lost their jobs, so I'm trying to connect them with people. And I think it kind of all comes down to people. The relationships that we have are so important.
Yeah, no, it's good you mentioned relationships and kind of touched on your blog. That was in a way my introduction to you. Plus your Instagram. I kind of see your Instagram like kind of offshoot of your blog. Which one came first,
Yeah.
and why? Are you so comfortable sharing such personal things online?
Yeah. So my blog came first. I think they came around the same time. This might be like a chicken and
Mm,
egg question. I can't remember which I started first, but I started blogging mostly because I always loved to write. And I was a new mom, and mommy bloggers were just starting to kind of take hold. And I mean, now we've taken over the internet, I think. So I had stumbled across the Yummy Mummy Club, which is Erica M's online only magazine for parents. And I kind of liked what she was doing. So I thought, I'm going to submit a blog. I was about a little over 2 at the time. So I submitted this contributed piece and they picked it up.
nice.
And that gave me perhaps a false sense of like
Mm,
ability. And which like fake it till you make it
mm-hmm.
always. So then I labeled myself a blogger and I started a free blog on Blogspot, I think it was. And it was like pretty stupid and I used like weird colors in my fonts. It's super embarrassing now to think back on it. But what I love my parents a lot, but they were very much of that old school mentality of sweeping the ugly stuff under the rug and not wanting to, draw attention to bad
Mm-hmm.
things. Families like illness or mental illness or, um, you know, like these totally normal things that we all experience fights, like family arguments and disagreements and mistakes,
Mm,
even. And I just didn't want that to be what I was also putting into the world. And I know, it was definitely a different time that our parents would have all grown up in compared to now. And I thought back to, like a perfect time would be I had a full meltdown. I'm also trying to hold back all my F
no,
bombs
no,
right
you
now because
can
I
swear
swear like
here.
a sailor. Oh, yeah, I love swearing. I had a full meltdown. I don't even know how to describe it. I left work and I started crying in the car. I had a 40-minute drive home. I was still crying when I got home. I was like fully hysterical. I got up the next morning and I was staying at my mom and dad's house because I was working early the next day. And I looked at my mom. I said, I can't go to work. Like, I can't. And I don't even know how to explain it. It was like the only thing holding me together was my
Wow.
skin. And I was like, I can't go to work. Like, I can't get it together. So my mom actually, it's like a testament to what a rock star my mom is. She called my boss and was like, Ashley will not be coming in today. She is not well. And then she called my family doctor and she more or less told the receptionist on the other end of the line that Ashley is driving there now and the doctor is going to see her. So I went in. This is like almost 24 hours later and I'm still fucking
Wow.
crying. And I sat in front of my family doctor who looked at me and he said, I know exactly what you're going through. My marriage fell apart. I was a single parent with my kids. I was trying to figure out the next step forward. I think you need help. think you need to speak to a counselor. I think you probably have anxiety and depression, and I think you probably need medication. And it was this amazing feeling of it's not just me. Like someone else has felt these feelings and had this like sense of being so overwhelmed that they felt like they couldn't take a step forward. So I think, and we've touched on this in the past, we live in this world right now of perfectly curated news feeds. Nobody gets hemorrhoids or pimples or bad hair days, and their relationships are perfect. And it's such bullshit. Yeah. It's this perceived perfectness. And I'm like, no, my life's a gong show all the time. There is literally a pile of laundry in my living room because I've just been carrying it up and dumping it on the couch and lying to myself that if I put it in the middle of our living space, it will force me to fold it and put it away. But I've just been avoiding it like a rock star. And I thought, if I could make one person feel less alone, have one person, either see a post or read a tweet or whatever it might be and say, hey, I know how that feels and I can relate to that. Or someone is hearing me or seeing my struggle, then that's what I would want to do. And I felt like I didn't have that, 8-9 years ago. And it was an awful feeling. So I try to be open and share the good, the bad, and the ugly, of which there's, often a lot in that like gray area in the middle where I'm just not sure what to make of it. Yeah. And then it's like perspective is everything. This could be the worst thing ever, or we could decide that it's not that bad.
Yeah, man. But like it's one thing, so you had this experience and then got on the path to get the help you needed, but like it's still one thing to experience that, and then it's another thing to actually put it out at the level you do. And I know you mentioned that your parents, like, you had this background of people that will sweep things under the rug, and you are more like, I'm just gonna put it all out there. What made you decide to do that, right? Because having that experience I don't think is like enough of a catalyst to do that. I mean, it might be, but what other reasons?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a terrible oversharer. I don't know. I mean, I feel, we joke a lot that I will just like embarrass the shit out of my kid because I will, I think I'm just naturally kind of an open book. I think it drove my parents crazy when I was younger because I just never saw like the boundary of what I shouldn't share with people, probably to a fault. I'm sure that there's a great many people who are like, oh my God, Ashley, stop. You've gone too far. Take it back. And I've definitely had times where I have firmly inserted a foot in my mouth and thought, okay, probably didn't need to say quite that much. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm just like an unfortunate overshare. And then I think too, it's probably like fuel to the fire, but hearing feedback from people when they say like, thank you so much for telling me that, or, someone told me I was brave for sharing. And I thought I'm not brave at all. It's almost like a coping mechanism for me to like get it out. And then it's like, oh, okay, now it's out there. I have put it like it's out of my heart and it's out of my head. And now I can more objectively look at it. It's almost like a bit of a release to get it out. But yeah, I don't know why it's that's $1 million question.
Okay, so like there's a story with your son about sex talk, and then
Oh
exactly
my
there's a post where like you I don't know you're pulling your sides out, right? And like
God.
the world we live in is super curated, but like and then you're on, and then you're on this really curated platform, and you're highlighting the flaws, right? It's like, okay, this is the not so good things or whatever, but this is me. Like, does it ever
Yeah.
get uncomfortable for you?
Um, do you know what? I won't lie. I struggled hitting publish on that post with like my belly. And I was like, oh man, like what if I get like mean? I'm like such a little kid. Like, what if people are mean to me? Um, and I've started following, I can't think of her name off the top of my head. Katie Sonia, I think is her name. I started following her on Instagram a while ago, and I mean, she's amazing. She's a professional athlete and a fitness trainer. And one of her posts a while ago had been like the idea of forcing yourself to feel good in your body. And it was about this natural inclination that we may have when we're having a bad day. So we're not feeling great about ourselves today. And what do? We like mask up. Literally now, if you're leaving your house, please wear a mask. But we put on an oversized sweatshirt and we wear like our big pants and maybe we're going to put a hat on or we're going to pull our hood up. And her philosophy was if you strip all of that down and you force yourself to go out without hiding every part of yourself, physically, that also makes it easier for you to open up emotionally. So I kind of forced myself about a year, well, more than a year ago. A year ago, we were like mid COVID. So 2 years
Yeah,
ago, which is
I
crazy.
know.
Yeah, I started making myself go to the gym in like a sports bra and leggings, even though there is nothing I hate more than anyone being able to see that like roll. And I mean, I'm fit and I'm not a big person, but it's always like that's my self-conscious thing that if I could change, if I had the money, I would like snip snip, get some tummy tuck going on in there. So I struggled hitting publish on that because I didn't want negative feedback. But then I also thought, like, fuck the negative feedback. Like, I live in this body, and this body lets me do some super cool shit in the run of the day. It lets me go for a run when I want to. It literally birthed a human being. Like, that's wild
Yeah.
to me. And I also just try to remember how many people would love for that flaw that I have that is my hang up that's holding me back from doing things, how much they would love for that to be their biggest. So I try to look at it in perspective and like, who gives a shit?
Right.
Like, who cares if your belly jiggles? That's what high waisted leggings are for, right? Like, it's fine. Who cares? So that one I struggled with. I struggled sharing like medication because people are crazy and they will attack you for literally any choice
Yeah.
that you make in our world. And I just, I don't want people to feel like alone. I don't want to make it seem like I have this like perfect life. I think it's important to share like the hard stuff or the not so shiny things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll get to something, But first off, when you thought last year was the year before, I do that mistake so much. Cause like whenever I'm talking to someone, was like, oh, I was at that festival last year, but I'm actually talking about 2019. And I think somehow in my mind, like 2020 has just been crumbled into, I mean, it existed, but like all the cool things I did or all the impressive things I did
Mhm.
was last year, even though it was really 2 years ago. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah,
Um,
it's never
yeah,
ending.
yeah. So there's a TV show I love. It's called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. He's great and I love it. Actually, it's one of the shows why I still like pay crave all that money, but there is one of the episodes where he was talking about multi-level marketing companies and and like first off, for some reason, like North America, like it is so prevalent in North America, and what I find is that people that proponents of multi-level marketing companies are two things. On two sides, right? So if you are way up there, I just think you are like really evil, and if you are really beginning, I just think you are really naive. And so you kind of start out naive, and you're like, oh, I just have to do this, and then as you start to understand what's happening and what you're doing, you either leave or you become evil and then you keep climbing the ranks, because the only way for you to climb is to be evil. Like there's no way anyone can convince me. They can try,
Yeah,
but like just from what I've known and like just thinking about how it works, like there's no like
yeah,
for me to be at triple diamond star status, I have to shit on like 60 people, like literally, well, not
yeah,
literally, but make them feel shitty. So so
yeah.
I try to like it's one of the things I'm super passionate about, but I don't really talk about it. Like when I see a friend is like, oh man, there's this great opportunity, I'm like, oh fuck, here we go again.
Oh God.
I'm like, you don't have to do this. Like, no, man. If you are part of a company and then the company is selling something, but for you to actually make money, you have to get people to be part of what you're doing. Then you're not
That's a
selling
cult.
something, man. Like, oh, anyway. So you put up this poster. You put up this post on your Instagram.
Do I still have that? I think I might actually still have it, like in here. Yes, I
Oh
do.
my
As
god.
I say, I literally have it in here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Really. I saw
So,
that.
have you ever filled one of these things out?
No, no, no.
Oh, they take so much time. So let me just like let you know that that is how serious I am about this message.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck off with your stupid like shampoo cult. I'm not interested. I don't want your $60 shampoo. Go away and stop telling me my hair looks bad.
So what is the story that led you to actually go to put on that post? Because I remember seeing that post and laughing my ass off.
Oh fuck. So I mean multi-level marketing schemes, which is what they are. They're a scheme and they gross me out because I could get on such a soapbox right now. I am sorry. So, most people who work for an MLM, yeah, oof, brain is firing. Most people who work in these, I don't even want to call it an organization, like in these cults are women. And they prey on women because they can either sell us shit we don't need under the guise of how much better it's going to make our lives because we're going to be prettier, thinner, we're going to have more time to spend with our families. Like they just prey on all of these insecurities that women are fed constantly in mainstream media. And then they're just so like, hey, you're not employed and you have no money right now, but if you pay us $1,500, we'll send you a starter kit, and then you need to sell to 10 people and get 5 people to sign up to join your team, and then we'll give you $2. Good luck feeding your family. So they drive me bananas. So 100 years ago, when I was in university, I don't know how the fuck, but someone convinced me to sell Avon. And I took $500. This is the worst $500 I ever spent, which is saying something because I've spent a lot of money on some stupid shit over the years. But I spent $500 on my Avon starter kit, and I met this like 50-something-year-old lady at, I don't even remember what the coffee shop was called, but it was on the corner of Quinpool and like one of those streets in the South End. I can't remember what it was. I think Dilly Dally
Okay.
Cafe is
Yeah.
there now. But we met there on the corner of Quinpool, and she has this like package for me. I sold $0 of Avon. And I remember this like gross, awful feeling of messaging all of my like cousins and my aunts and like my next door neighbors and being like, hey, do you want to buy some Avon? I was like, this is awful. Like, I'm not even, so I'm like, I'm not selling my own wares right now. Like, I'm not an entrepreneur doing
Mm,
this and like, taking, beautiful art or pottery or food or something that I've
mm,
cultivated. I'm just like, I'm making somebody else rich and making myself look like a punk. So that was unfortunate. I had that like Avon Skin So Soft, like probably 100 bottles of it for years. I threw them all out like 8 or 9 years ago.
yeah.
But I did that then. And then I was like, okay, well, that was stupid of me. And then over the years, I have been hit with everything from like blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm a beach body coach. Like, no, you're not. You're not a professional trainer. Like, professional fitness trainers have a ton of knowledge. They spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars being trained in kinesiology, in human body, like everything, nutrition, the whole nine
Mm.
yards. So I'm like, oh, you're going to come along and tell me that I should do this like P90X and drink nothing but these weird shakes? Like, no, thank you. And if it's not that, it's join my weight loss thing, and we're all drinking this like weird chemical that's probably not FDA approved. So it's just like constantly, mostly people just trying to sell me
Mm.
shit that I'm like, no, I don't need that. And then when I lost my job a couple of years ago, it's like like I have people in the UK who probably couldn't point out Halifax, Nova Scotia on a map if their like pink Cadillac
Oh, yeah,
depended on it.
think.
And
Yes,
they're
it's
messaging
think. It's think.
like, they're messaging me asking me to join their global sales team. I'm like, get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here. I want a real
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. You see,
Like
that's why I say that people at this end are naive, right? Because they don't understand. But
it's like the only thing I can think of that's as bad are those fucking payday
oh
loans.
yeah,
That just it's like let's capture
Adele.
somebody who is
Yeah,
desperate and then we're just going to ruin their
yeah.
life. Let's do that. And that is how I look at multi-level marketing schemes. Like they're the same, it's a diet pill. Like they're offering you this quick fix that's not going to work. And I mean, I'm sorry, but all your friends are going to hate
Mm.
you if you're just constantly like
And that
I
is the thing. Most of them use Facebook a lot. So like, I'm really difficult to message on Facebook because of that. Like, like what happens is, they see these leaders in all this money, and then you get a fly to Florida for some convention and all these things, and
which like don't go to Florida. Come on.
Oh my god.
It's a
Yeah, yeah.
cesspool.
I remember seeing a post on like it's just evil, 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 evil. And like, you know, and sometimes this sunk cost fallacy sets in. Like I've already spent $2,000, so what's another? Let me just keep going
Yeah.
down this lane, and
Yeah.
man, he just
Because, yeah, you feel you're like invested in it
mm,
then. And I think there's also a sense of like no one wants to fail.
mm,
No one wants to, and like that's when I just think, like, I'm like, that's so sad. Like, I feel shit all the time. Like, I'm gonna like try this thing, but there's like the difference between knowing when to like stay moving with it and when not to. And like, I have a girlfriend from high school, bless her, and she's selling Monet, which is like the shampoo stuff. And she's doing well with it. Like she has her very loyal like customer group, but she's never annoying about it. Like she just does it and she's like doing it over here and she's a full-time job as well. And I'm like, that's like you're just doing it because she's like, I like the products. I like getting some free products. She gets free products when people buy or something. So I was like, you know what, like you do
mm,
you, but don't don't just like bombard your friends and your network constantly so that you can pay your
yeah.
bills.
Yeah, anyway, I think we should just have a show talk about MLM because, like, there's so many of them, and they're like, oh,
Too many.
God.
I'm like, how are these things getting
No,
licensed? Like,
see,
don't you
what
need?
happens is once one kind of like people are kind of catching up onto one, they just hop onto the next thing and create the next thing. And
Yeah,
they already have like it's baked in that they can't fail because they tell people this thing that if you're failing, it's your fault, you're not putting in enough work, right? So it's
yeah.
like shit, this person is making this and their fucking names, man. Like each level has it, and like how is this
Oh, I
person the
know.
triple gold diamond status, whatever, and they are getting four thousand
Yeah,
dollars a month because they're putting in the work. So you have to put in the work now, and you're like, oh shit, if I just it's so mean. It's just so mean. It's so
yeah.
mean. And I think what happens
It's
is
brutal.
because all these people remembered what they went through to get here, they're like, fuck you, just keep doing what I did anyway.
Yeah, somebody was shitting on me 10 years ago, and now look where I am. I'm gonna shit on you too. And like, this is not, it's like two wrongs don't make a
Right,
right.
right,
It's
right, right, right.
and then like you said, they have that no fail promise and you're going to be mentored. Like, no, you're not. Nobody's mentoring you. Everybody just wants their pink
Oh
Cadillac for
my
themselves. Like, no
god.
one is going to help you.
Yeah, it's always a pink Cadillac. It's a pink one.
I don't get it. I would not park a pink Cadillac in my driveway.
anyway, Ashley, oh my god. Yeah, that post really stood out for me. So, and then,
And I haven't gotten a multi-level marketing message since then.
well, it's super effective. Yeah,
Yes,
you accomplish what you set out to do.
I did.
Yeah, I want to talk about your blog. Like, how do you decide what things you're gonna write on, and what's the process for writing?
Um, but oh boy. Have you ever seen like I don't even know like a squirrel trying to avoid getting hit by a car? That's my process for writing. It's just completely nonsense. There's no process to it. It's like sometimes I get run over and other times I take years off my life. I actually, it's funny. I had my blog open a little while ago, like my blog page. Yeah, I have like I think there's like 67 drafts right now in my blog. So I get struck by the inspiration to
Mm,
write
mm,
often. And then I write it and it's like super timely, and I'm like patting myself on the back for like getting this 500, 600 word blog post written. And then I like go to the bathroom, and somewhere on the way back my brain goes and it's gone. And then I remember the blog post like a month later. I'm like, fuck. That like Easter was like 2 weeks ago, and I had this like lovely Easter post, and then I forgot to post it. So I literally need to schedule it for like next year at Easter today so that it goes live on time. But for the most part, I I just write about stuff that is like hitting me. So I'm working on a blog post right now, actually, and it's like it's so kind of asinine on the one hand, but something I've been thinking about a lot is how like we all spend a lot of time on Zoom right now. And I probably have a bit of like a vanity affliction anyway, where I'm very concerned about how I look, and I quite enjoy like the world of fashion and style, and I love being able to like play with clothes and makeup and hair. I'm like 33 years old and I still like dressing up. Mark's like, my husband's out for the day, and I'm like, I'm going to try on every dress I own today. And then I leave them all in a pile on our bed. And he's annoyed with me for making a mess. But I noticed recently, like, I've become so critical of my appearance because I no longer have the benefit of not having to see how bad I look. I'm like, fuck everybody else. Like, they can just tolerate me when like my hair is a mess and I've got mascara halfway down my face. But I don't want to look at myself like that. And if I'm on a Zoom call for a couple of hours and my camera's on, I'm like, oh man, like my hair is really bad today. Or like, fuck, this shirt looks terrible on me. What was I thinking? Or like I should have worn more makeup. And so I went, like, I feel like I've done this 180 where I used to be like, didn't bother wearing makeup. And sometimes I would go to work without makeup on. And now I'm like, no, I have to look at myself for like 5 hours today on Zoom calls. I'm going to make sure that I look nice. So I feel like Zoom has made me like more self-conscious. So like that's something that I've been writing about. I've been trying and failing to write more, like create more content around like careers and professional development and like that sort of side of my life, because my blog to date has been very like personal focused with like a healthy sprinkling of snacks. But I would, I don't think I've had this like, outstanding career. Like I'm not Sheryl Sandberg, nor I think do I aspire to be. But I think most of us would just like to find someone who's relatable and who's had like a career trajectory or had some like wins in their life that are attainable to us as well, like things that are more relatable. So I've been, working with a couple of young ladies who are newer in their PR journey, I guess, like earlier on in their careers. So working with them, trying to introduce them to people. And so trying to take like those conversations and then blogify them as well. So the irony here is that as a communications professional, coming up with like really like clean and effective processes and systems for writing content is literally my job, but I cannot do it for myself. It's like what's that saying? Do as I say, not as I do. That's me with my own personal content creation. But yeah, I think like I kind of see my blog as like an extension of me. And the upside of it is it's made me like it kind of helped me build my brand. The downside is I now have to like warn potential employers that if they Google me, they may find a blog post about KY jelly. And that's always fun. Just don't read that blog. Like, all the rest are fine, but maybe just like skip over that one. It's not suitable for work.
Oh man. Okay, yeah. It's always fun talking to you. And I mean, I'm taking you out of your work day, so I'm gonna let you go take care of business. But I wanna let you go with this one question now.
Yeah.
And it's something you kind of touched on just in passing a couple of minutes ago. And it's a post about the pill. Um, you know, pretty much beating this dead horse, but like again, that was really really personal. Why did you share share that post, especially the caption you put on the post?
The
Mm-hmm.
pill post, you mean? Yeah. I think I shared that it was partly like my own little like kick in the ass to like get over
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, I think it's really hard as as people in general when we have to admit that we need help. Like no one wants to ask
Mm-hmm.
for help. Um, and I'm an ass and I'm very stubborn. And I had a really hard time reconciling. I mean, I had that prescription for 2 weeks, maybe a month, sitting on my counter, and I wouldn't get it filled. Now, the part of that story that makes it even more asinine is I literally worked in pharma, in patient support,
Mm-hmm.
and I know how important it is to take the medication that you're prescribed. And there was, a stage in my life when I took anxiety medications. Um, so it was like, it wasn't like my first time needing to take a medication. Like if I have an infection, I'm not going to be like, now just like ride out this like
Yeah,
sinus
yeah, yeah.
infection. But it was like, here's this pill. And I thought, like, fuck me. I do not want to have to take this
Mm-hmm.
pill forever. So I have hypothyroidism, which is basically means that my thyroid doesn't produce enough of the, I don't even know how to pronounce the thyroid hormones, which then impact all of the other hormones in my body. So that's fun. And it was making me really sluggish, kind of like puffy in the face, like stomach issues. My skin was like super dry. So basically, I just felt like shit. And here I was, like not feeling well, and then being mad that I had to take a pill that would make me feel better. So I started taking it. I think I think I'd probably taken the pill for like I don't know, a few days for sure before I actually posted the picture, but I took a picture of the pill like the first day. And it made me feel so much better so quickly. And it was like, like hit myself on the head. Like how
Mm-hmm.
dumb was it for me to like hold back on this? And health in particular is one of those things that we like people try to hold it close. I think there's a lot of stigma associated with any type of health intervention, with the exceptions sort of being like if someone tells us that they have cancer, it's like immediately everyone, like, how can we help? How can we support you? People rally around one another. Someone says they have like a mental health issue. I think we're moving in the right direction, but that has still remained like very don't ask, don't tell. And then like if you have diabetes, there's this like weird, gross, awful judgment against someone for having like all kinds of other health concerns. And I think that's silly. So I started sharing, like my neighbor up the street also takes the same medications called Synthroid. And then I have another friend who messaged me, who was like, I've been on Synthroid for 2 years. I never told anyone. I was like, okay, we're all going through it. No one's talking about it. We really could be sharing what's working for us in this like super common. think like my hair was falling out. Like it was not a fun time, and it took a while to get it diagnosed. So it was like I went through all of these months of feeling terrible and not knowing what was wrong, and then I had an answer and still wouldn't take it because I
Mm,
was ashamed to need medicine. So I think it was partly like a kick in the ass for myself, but then also like just another sense of like I sometimes hear like, "Oh, you're so lucky, like your life is so nice." I'm like, my life is like everybody else's life. I have like a pile of laundry in my living room, and there's dirty dishes in my sink, and like I have a hangnail on one of my thumbs, and I have to take a pill every day. So I think that was sort of like the catalyst for sharing it, was just like another opportunity to say like, hey, it's totally
mm,
normal to need to take medication.
mm,
And it's also really okay to have a hard time accepting that. And both things can be true at once.
mm.
Yeah, I don't know if that
Yeah,
really
no,
answered your
totally did.
question.
And I want to say thank you for, sharing and making it okay. Like, like whatever someone is going through, they shouldn't feel like, they have to go through it alone, right? That's what I
Totally.
feel when I read your captions. Cause like, and I think, you write it for yourself, but then there's one person out there that just reads it and it's like, oh man, I'm not alone. I'm not facing this alone. And like, I think you should like print out the MLM thing and put it on a T-shirt. Cause holy shit.
All right, there we go. We're gonna make t-shirts for everybody.
Oh man,
That's
Ashley,
it.
thanks so much for coming to this sanctuary. I had a great time, and I can't wait to have
You
you
too.
back.
I can't wait to come back. We'll just shit on
That
multi-level
is all
marketing
I'll do.
people. We can gather up all of our
Yes,
favorites.
yes.
There's actually there's like a great, hold on, I'm gonna try to find it for you, or I'll send it to you on Instagram. There's like an entire multi-level marketing, like anti multi-level marketing Instagram
No way.
account that follows me now. And I was really excited about it because like I love that you were just dedicating your
Yeah, yeah.
life
It's so
to
shitty that people do that.
uncovering
Yeah.
this stuff. I know. I love that this person's just like the whole Instagram account is just like crapping
Okay.
on crappy multi-level marketing
Yeah,
people.
please, we need more of that. Thank you so much,
I
Ashley.
agree. All right. Thank you.